Hi everybody, John Hinn with the Pulsing Cinema. The Pulsing Cinema movie of the day is Dangerous Game from 1993. I think the original title of the film was also Snake Eyes. Abel Ferrara directed film starring Madonna. Again, another one of the early films from Madonna and Harvey Keitel. Harvey Keitel, the lead character, the film toys with documentary reality, fake documentary, footage of characters in the film being interviewed. The film is about Harvey Keitel. He plays this tough New York director, very much like the tough New York director Abel Ferrara, who is the actual director of the film. Harvey Keitel is, a stand-in Abel Ferrara who goes out to Los Angeles. The opening scene, we see him having sex with his wife and kissing his child goodnight, and he flies out to Los Angeles to the debauched L.A. Hollywood scene to make a film, to make a heavy emotional drama, The Mother of Mirrors, which is going to star this actress Madonna as this person who's being terrified by her husband. Yeah, it's about a debauched husband and wife who are getting into the drug scene, almost kind of like that James Woods film, The Boost. He's doing like a really heavy Abel Ferrara version of The Boost. And so he gets involved with sex and drugs and Madonna and Los Angeles, and it just becomes this perverse swirl of stuff where the art imitates reality, and it ends up in a bad place where murder and drugs and fantasy and reality collide in that kind of, weird way. Yeah, I watched this film came out. I watched it. It was in a very pivotal moment in my life. I was a young kid. I was interested in movies. Abel Ferrara had come out with Bad Lieutenant, like a year before, and that had been such like a big turning point because we watched Abel Ferrara, watched Bad Lieutenant, Reservoir Dogs, and Man Bites Dog. Those were all in like the 1992-93 time frame. And then Dangerous Game was a film that I think Abel Ferrara was able to make because of the cachet of Bad Lieutenant. And then Madonna was like one of the biggest actresses, singers, personality. It was this whole Madonna, cult of Madonna. Voguing and things, and people were voguing on the street. Some of you probably didn't grow up in that era, but people would just stop and vogue on the streets. It was quite a scene. It was very, very out there. And so for her to do this film, this very strong film, it was very different, and it had it had some Madonna nudity in it. I was like, oh wow, my God, It's much better than that Willem Dafoe like Basic Instinct film she'd made, Body of Evidence. Yeah, but this was like, it was just a weird film. I liked it, but I didn't really like. It was a very low budget film. It was a small film that just kind of escaped, and it was a movie that I was interested about how movies are made, and so it was kind of like a behind the scenes making of a movie. But it was also about kind of like the reality of making movies, that it's all not these determined craftsmen who are working and it's just it's all about making a film. It's not like a cabinet maker or a carpenter or a craftsman. It's just like a bunch of guys, but there are those people, but it's a lot of. When you get into the above-the-line talent, what do you mean the higher budgeted, the people who make the money on the set, like the actors and the directors and the writers, it's a lot of debauched shit. It's a lot of drugs and having to deal with people's egos and all kinds of weird shit, and so this movie is kind of like saying that that this is a very debauched place to make films, you know. So yeah, it was a cautionary tale as far as young filmmakers, as far as getting into that scene, because the Harvey Keitel filmmaker in this movie is this New York. He has this very tough rep, and he's very has these principles, very principled person. But then it seems you can see in this film he's seduced by the pull of this this horrible debauched industry which he's in, and that whole thing, So I mean, it's all the Abel Ferrara stuff that the world is shit, and there's people who are there's sellouts, and all of this New York in this stuff, and the crazy mind of, and I mean, all of Abel Ferrara movies are just kind of crazy, they're really fucked in many ways, and that's why they're so enjoyable to watch, because there are these extravagances and these wild stuff, and Harvey Keitel was the perfect Abel Ferrara actor, because he's tough, he's New York, and yet he's free enough to do all this crazy stuff, so he's so he has that traditional yet the kind of the avant-garde to him as well, so he's willing to go the full Monty, do the full, sometimes quite literally, he's the method. He'll go to the nth degree. So the film is good. And I also loved how the film was partially shot on high 8. That was transferred to film, and it looks very 60 millimeter like. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best film in the world, but a very interesting movie. Yeah.